So I have a love-hate relationship with cartridge games. I'm talking like Super Nintendo, PlayStation Vita, the Switch. Those are all cartridge-based systems. And I love collecting for these different systems, and I also hate it. There's something about a cartridge that just feels good. This feels solid. Like, I don't feel bad about if I drop this. Whereas a disc, I feel like I have to baby it. Can't set it down in the wrong place, can't drop it, otherwise you're going to scratch it, and then it might never play again. If I drop this, chances are it's going to be fine. And there's something about the Nintendo durability that just isn't matched by other manufacturers. You know, this thing has been around since, 94? Donkey Kong Country is 94. And it still works just fine. It works great. But you look at disc-based systems, and some of these discs, like the GameCube, for example, pretty fragile discs. The Dreamcast was probably the worst offender, where if you got too many scratches and you peeled off some of those layers by doing a disc cleaning, you might actually get into the data quicker than you would with a different DVD. Which brings me to my love of cartridges. These things just never seem to die. Even the old Game Boy ones, Super Nintendo, you know, I've got Vita, 3DS, DS, even got Switch cartridges, you know, got all kinds of different ones, and they just feel good and they last longer. But let's talk about the part I really hate, and that's collecting. Collecting for cartridge-based systems can be a nightmare. For example, I just have the cartridge for this game. As a kid, I collected all the boxes, I saved them all. I wanted to see those manuals in the future, and so I made sure to keep them. And then I, so foolishly, like every other kid, traded them away to get pennies on the dollar. If I could go back and stop myself from trading in every boxed Pokemon game I had, all those games, I would probably kill that kid to keep him from doing that. But that's part of the problem, is not every kid kept those, and they just decided to keep the cartridge because it was smaller than keeping an entire box. So as these age, it becomes harder and harder to get a fully complete in-box item with that manual and the original art that I really love to see, which makes games like this one really painful to get complete in-box. While the game itself is maybe $250, $300, the box more than doubles the price. And you can see this with other games too, especially if you want to go look up Earthbound, then your heart might hurt. But the durability is unmatched. I can't argue with the fact that even though I don't have a box for this one, or this Game Boy game, it's gonna last, it's gonna hold up. And if you really want to get fancy, you know, I took my copy of Pokemon Gold with a manual there, and got one of these custom cases to protect it since I don't have the cardboard box, because those cardboard boxes are actually harder to maintain. You need to make sure you're keeping them in plastic or something else, because these are just a lot more durable, these plastic shells, than the cardboard that they originally came in. But what about modern cartridges? So I would say the Nintendo DS is probably the last one where when the game came out, it had to be done. It had to be on the cartridge, and it had to be good to go. We hit the 3DS and Vita eras, and that kind of goes out the window. There is update options. For the most part, these are pretty good. The games are on there. If you don't get the online update, you're probably going to be fine. But still, there's technically one out there to make the game just a little bit better. And then you get to the most modern one of them all, and that's the Switch. And it makes me want to stop buying cartridges. Shining Pearl is a good example of a game where not everything is on the cart. You need that download and really to get the full experience of the game. And then once you get in the box, there's no manual or anything. There's just some basic art. So at this point, there's only a few Switch games where I really feel like you should actually get the physical version, whereas you should just get a download for a game like this instead, because a lot of the game is in the download. It's not actually on the disc. And I would say if you're going to collect for any cartridge-based system right now, you need to hit the 3DS. The Vita is already through the roof, and there just weren't as many games or systems made. Whereas the 3DS, there's still plenty of systems out there, plenty of deals to be had, and plenty of good games for decent prices still. A lot of them are steadily increasing in price, but if you want to get on a good cartridge system, 3DS is where it's at. I would say the DS is still good, but not great. A lot of those big titles like Soul Silver, the Pokemon games, or There's other games like Dragon Quest have really gone up in price because there's not a ton of copies. There's not a ton of complete and box copies either, because it runs into the same issue as some of these other games where people just ditched the box and kept just the little cartridge. So complete in box is starting to become a struggle for DS games. And if you really want to go old school, Super Nintendo is still okay, but you're going to run into some of those issues with the complete box collecting if you really like complete in box. This is still durable, but I can't fully recommend this like I would with 3DS because you can still get everything complete in box. So that's it. That's me. I hate that I love cartridge-based games. I love the durability. I love the feel. I just hate how difficult it can be for complete in box stuff like this. But if you're looking for a good system to collect for, can't recommend the 3DS enough right now. This is the one you should be hitting up, not the Switch. You should be hitting the 3DS. So what do you think? What do you love about cartridge over disc? Or do you prefer disc? Or have you just switched to digital only and given up on the game collecting at this point? Let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like or a dislike, and we'll catch you next time.